Hey everyone, my name is Neal Karski and I'm the CEO of Patient Engine, a seven-figure digital marketing, lead conversion, and coaching agency for high-ticket aesthetics providers. And I would like to personally welcome you to the Aesthetics Millionaires Show, where we sit down with industry entrepreneurs to talk about their personal journeys and discuss proven growth strategies. My genuine hope is that through this podcast, we can create more success stories in this industry and help more business owners scale past their competition. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Aesthetics Millionaires Show podcast. I have a very, very special guest, a good friend of mine named Dr. Cassidy. She's the owner and CMO of Skyn Elegant Aesthetics in Huntersville, North Carolina, in a really, really great area. And she's also a medical director for a few spas as well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
So let's dive right in. You're a doctor, obviously. I just want to understand what made you want to go into the medical field, and then what made you pivot into the aesthetics field.
So I have several family members that are also physicians, and growing up, I think I always looked up to them. They always made people feel better, so I probably got some kind of security in that. As I got older, I have two of my cousins are actually plastic surgeons, so I would kind of be around their office and see how fun it was and how happy the patients were, which is a definite different than being in the hospital or in a normal doctor's office. So once I got a taste of that world, I kind of thought that could be the lane for me. So I went into med school knowing that I probably wanted to venture this route in some way. Plastics was a little aggressive for me. The long surgeries, I kind of found myself losing interest, but I loved when he was doing the injections and the patient contact in the office. So I think I got the bug from them, honestly, and I loved it from day one.
Yeah. So walk us through, like, was there a specific discipline or direction you were going initially?
So I wanted to give myself the most options. So I went into internal medicine with honestly the plan. I am a hospitalist originally, and usually that schedule is about week on, week off. I usually work around 14 days a month. So I knew that would allow me plenty of time to train in this field. Unfortunately, in aesthetics right now, there's no residency, there's no fellowship. You do get some if you do derm, plastics, things like that, but there's nothing specifically for this. All of the training is, after school or after schooling. So I knew that picking a job where I would have plenty of free time would allow me to pursue this as well as still making money with the regular job until I got on my feet with this.
Okay. So when you graduated, or when you got into the medical field, walk us through the ideation or the desire to own an aesthetics practice. And like you said, you kind of balanced out the two at first. So let's talk about those early days and how you were able to strategize the planning process behind, like, hey, I'm going to have a full-time job as a doctor. I'm going to start my own practice. I feel like I talked to a lot of doctors who have been a doctor for a long time, and then they decide to open an aesthetics practice, but they're overwhelmed, or maybe they're just like, they have a very specific skill set or knowledge base, mostly focused on treating patients and in the medical field. And then the cash-based stuff kind of is more of another school, you could say, for them as well. So walk us through that.
So the way that I went about it, I had some friends that were in the industry. They were estheticians down in this area. I was living in West Virginia, where I'm from at the time. And I literally volunteered my time as a doctor just to go down. It was a very successful, larger med spa, just to come and shadow and do anything that they would let me do. As like a full-on physician, I would be in there like cleaning the room, flipping it over, doing whatever, just to be exposed to it. Because it had been a few years since I was shadowing with my cousins, and that was a much different headspace. I was still in college, applying to med school at that time. I had a lot more knowledge underneath my belt once I was working with the med spas down here, but I just needed to get my feet wet, and I needed to get my foot in the door any way that I could. And I was willing to do that. It's honestly fun for me. I loved it. I love spending time with the girls in the office. I loved the patients. So I was willing to do whatever I needed to do and bide my time until they were ready to hire me on full time, which they did eventually. I kind of pitched myself. I'm like, hey, I'm ready to make a move. Are you ready to hire me or not? And luckily they did. And that got my foot in the door, and it was the best decision I've ever made professionally. Super thankful for that opportunity. And it gave me a ton of experience. I hit the ground running. I mean, you would have a training and then you would see, 10, 12 patients after that. So there was no time to rest, high volume, which was great. I got tons of skills. I had another physician working with me, which was also nice because I got a lot of insight from him and just all the girls in the office. At that point, I mean, you're so new, you can truly learn from everybody. And I was just trying to pick up whatever I could from everyone.
Let's rewind back to like um to when the entrepreneurial like seed got planted a little bit. And because I feel like you kind of knew pretty early on that you're like, all right, I'm gonna be, a hospitalist, but I'm also getting on my own business. So those two things can be conflicting. So let's chat about that.
They are completely different paths. I mean, the hospital is nice because you go in, you go out. Once you leave that, you stop thinking about it. Being a business owner, it's like an open computer tab in my head all the time. Like it never shuts off. So they're completely different mindsets like that. I come from a very entrepreneurial family. My grandma, who, back in the day, she opened her own flower shop, which was more rare for women to own businesses back then. So I grew up in that kind of environment and having that freedom. And I think that also really appealed to me. Getting to create your own schedule, getting to create a space that felt like you, that also represented you. I like both of those things. I think I probably underestimated the amount of attention that it would take to get there and how much you just have to have a high engine to keep these things going and to be motivated. But I feel like I credit a lot of that to my grandma. My father owns a lot of businesses. He works full time and he owns a lot of side businesses, whether that's real estate, HVAC company, different things like that. So I see them doing multiple things, multiple streams of revenue, and I guess that's all that I know. So I always wanted to kind of follow in that lane, but make it my own. And I definitely feel like medicine and aesthetics was calling to me. And aesthetics is wonderful because think about it. What other form of medicine is pretty much untouched by the evil overlords of insurance companies? And that's very appealing. Very, very appealing, especially after working in the hospital and seeing how much red tape and, bureaucracy there is. It's nice to still have a place that you get to make the decisions. Now that's good and bad because if those decisions go well, that's good. If they go bad, then that also falls on you because you're the one making them.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Definitely. That's yeah, those are two different accountability shifts, right? I'm sorry, like ownership spheres where you're like in a hospital, like you said, you're responsible for your patients, and then in your business, you're responsible for your patients and your business too,
and my employees,
and your
like that
employees.
I, care about very much. They're wonderful. So it's like, yeah, you're just responsible for everything. And it can be a lot, but it's worth it. But it is a lot and you got to keep on it all the time. It doesn't just fall in your lap. I definitely underestimated how much work it would take to get up and going, but we did it.
So, when did you start the business?
We started this. I left the other place that I was working to go on my own. I think it was 22 or 23. And then, so it's been our physical office has been open for about 2 years now. Probably in a real way, a year and a half. The first 6 months was just like, let's just get the doors open. And while we're figuring things out. So yeah, it goes by so fast. I cannot believe it. But about 2 years in the actual office here.
And when you first opened, how did you what were some of your key lessons behind like hiring, which are some of the more important things? So like what services did you start out with? How did you hire and find the right people? Or maybe you didn't have the right people. Sometimes that's the case as well. And then how did you find new clients? And then how did you shift your mindset from like the medical non-cash based or insurance based to cash based? What the dirty term I like calling sales, and understanding that
Yeah.
you had to sell. So let's get into some of those buckets, because I feel like those are really important lessons that can help you define the practice and also help you skip the learning curve or make it a lot steeper for some people as well.
I think I probably had a little bit of both. The original plan when I went out on my own was like start small, don't like, what is it, Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. Like that doesn't work like that. So that wasn't the original plan to do. It kind of ended up happening that way because I got a wonderful opportunity for the space that I'm in now. Wasn't looking for it. Another injector friend of mine called me and they're like, they just offered this to me. I'm not in a place to do this. You would be perfect. And it just kind of snowballed from there. So that was a definite change because I do think that when you're first starting with what you know, like you said, is very helpful. So, I mean, I was very well versed by that point in my career in any kind of injectable, a little bit of lasers, Morpheus or microneedling with radio frequency and things like that. So I was pretty well rounded to be able to do a lot of things, but sometimes that equipment's expensive. So you're not trying to jump off and buy all that at once, although that's exactly what we did. As far as the right people, I think that is a huge, huge component. And that's one of the toughest lessons I've probably had to learn is that, people can be good people, but they're not a good fit for your business. And I think that was tough for me at the beginning just because you had to make business decisions that weren't personal. And we definitely had to do that. And the business is better for it, but that doesn't mean it was easy going through it. But that was a big lesson for me is just finding true people that have your back and then also have your vision because you want to be different players on the same team. Like you can't hire 10 Cassidys. I don't want 10 Cassidys. I want a Cassidy. I want a Kelly. I want a Kelsey. I want a Kendall. I want a Sunny, but I also want us to have the same vision going in the same direction. So now that I have the team I feel completely confident in, it's like really reflected in the whole business and just growth in general.
Yeah. How did you what kind of marketing did you guys do when you first started out?
Initially, not a ton, and I also think that was probably a misstep. We probably should have been more aggressive from the beginning. I had a relatively big, well, not big, but locally big social media following. So people were up to date with what I was doing just because I was posting on there and giving them, keeping them up to date all throughout the process. So that's how I initially started. And then we started dabbling into the digital marketing, which is, huge. I've gone through a few iterations of different people with that. We've kind of finally hit our stride with that with the most recent company as well. I feel it's hard. You have to get, again, somebody that sees how you want to portray yourself. And it's different, like you were talking about. This is medicine, but it's also sales. I hate to say that too, but it's a different form than any other medicine. So finding a marketing company that understands that incredibly important because it is very unique. They can think they know, but a lot of times they don't. They don't realize. And the space we're in is very competitive. We live in a very nice area, and the market is competitive. So you have to give people a reason to choose you out of the hundreds that are in a 5-mile radius of us.
Yeah. So aside from investing in paid advertising, which obviously is huge, what else did you what other marketing channels did you invest in or invest your time in to get yourself off the ground?
Mostly digital, honestly, and then social media for us. All of our girls are relatively good with social media and we hire for that as well. So that was mostly what we did. And then just word of mouth. Of course, we always encourage referrals. That's the best way. Honestly, another thing, the moms groups on Facebook, those things will pop off. And if they have your back, I probably see at least half of my new patients are coming from those. And I think that there's versions of that in every city. I know you just got to find them. But yeah, the good old Facebook group, bringing it back to college. But that's been very helpful as well, which is again just more word of mouth, a more natural approach.
Yeah. Yeah, moms groups can be crazy.
Oh,
There's definitely a lot of conversations like it reminds me just of a good old like old school forum where people just are are unfiltered in some ways and talk about their opinions and stuff like that. So you want to get on that good side.
Yeah, completely. Yes, yes, 100%. It is extremely unfiltered. So you got to be ready. If your name's out there, people are going to say what they really do feel about you. So, yeah, exactly.
That's just tapping into people who have like, whether it's through groups or just like understanding who that you have clients who have like spheres of influence,
Hmm.
who maybe are like they're micro influencers of their community, right? They're that people who have this like following, or people, or somebody who people look up to, or somebody who's just very vocal.
That's a good point. And I do have a few friends that are perfect word, micro influencers. So we do have a few people like that that are on our side, and you'll just come in and get their talks in and they'll just do a video about it. And it's so helpful. We also have another girl that's a local, very good makeup artist that does like the football cheerleaders. Like she does, contracted to do that. She's one of my friends and patients. So it's always super helpful when you have those types of people. She also does a lot of makeup for brides. Well, every bride is wanting to look absolutely the best and glowing for their wedding day, and we can help them with that as well as, her for the makeup. So micro influencers are very good. And I do feel like that's better than somebody random, because if you have a mom that's got 20 good friends at her book club or anything else, and she comes in raving because her skin's looking glowing, tighter, brighter, whatever it may be, that's priceless. You're spending however much you are in advertising to gain that one patient, and you just gain that patient by the other one. So I love referrals. Like try to go out of my way to make it an extra great visit for that person. If somebody's, counted on me to supply a great service or great product, whatever, to that patient.
Yeah. um as far as, you said something about social media, so yeah, do you encourage your staff to basically promote the brand in some ways, which is kind of like everybody, what I would call this, in the consulting world, in my past life, we would call this everybody sells culture. So in that sense, like having all of your like staff who at least are client facing, who have a commission structure and are incentivized to sell, are they also incentivized to promote themselves on social media and kind of build their own books of business? Is that how it works?
Definitely. I mean, I'm very clear with all the people that I hire here. It's like social media is a part of this. And I know there's different schools of thought because, in the interview process, we've talked to people that come from other places that they have no before and afters. They're not allowed to post on social media. So it is very different. And I was very clear with them about that. But I definitely encourage them, incentivize them in the fact that there is, some kind of commission base. So the more you build your book, the more you get home. You eat what you kill, and a very aggressive way of saying that for this industry, but it is important that they have a motor as well, because we can do all the marketing, we can do all the social media, but the patient likes to see who's going to be in doing their treatments. And that's one thing that we're really big on here, is that if you're seeing marketing, it is of us. So when you come in, if you've been following us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it may be, you're going to see us how we are. Like you're going to see Dr. Cassidy, you're going to see Kelly, you're going to see Kelsey as she's starting. And I do think that's important for patients because they come in and they're like, I feel like I know you. I've seen you. How's your little girl? All of these different things. And it just already builds that rapport. And it's just a better relationship. The more open and the better rapport you have with your patients, I think the better outcomes you will have. There's just honesty there, which is the foundation for everything.
Yeah. I like that you have you just have more visibility this way too, right? Um where you're basically saying, and I even offer bigger commission to my staff at my locations if they bring in clients themselves, because I do believe it takes more effort. So you have your internal marketing initiatives, and you have a fixed commission from that. from selling treatment plans. But if you're able to get your own referrals, then I, in my opinion, you deserve, a higher commission. But I do like, especially if you have a staff, a bigger staff, and everybody's throwing out content on social media. They're obviously promoting your brand. You just have more and more visibility, and hopefully they're able through those initiatives, build relationships with even their friends and colleagues and family, even whatever, however they want to promote, right?
Agree. And we do have like a structure set up to where if they bring it in, like we have on our intake forms, where did you hear about us from? And so we have different people's names. So if they are listing somebody, one of the other providers that's here, then they are going to get credit for that. So I think that's a good point. You're saying other things I forgot about, so I like it. It's good. You're helping me remember all the stuff about my own business. So that's thank you for that.
What do you think, as far as like hiring and training? Like, what are some of the best practices? I know you shed a little bit of light on that, but what are some of the best practices that helped you? Especially early on, like you said, that I like what you said. Like, just be, there's some people who you really like and resonate with me, and they're good people, but it doesn't mean they're good for your business. So I really like that. But maybe any additional like strategies or advice that helped you, and maybe things we can reinforce for you in the future as you grow, um, that you feel like are really things that kind of live by when it comes to both, you can call it staffing and recruiting, and to training
Hmm.
training and onboarding.
As far as, trying to find the right fit, I think I always look for passion. I love a passionate person. Like, I love it. If you're excited about something, like, let's go. I think that that's wonderful. I think that also resonates with patients. Like, they can feel if you're being excited about something, and also authenticity. Again, like, I love that. Like, I love somebody that's like unafraid to be themselves. So I look for those two things. I was a former athlete, so I tend to find myself veering towards a lot of former athletes. I don't mean to, but like in the conversation, if I'm really clicking with like, that person, it's like, oh yeah, I did this and this and this. And I think that comes down to one, a lot of teamwork. Two, you have to show up for people even when you don't feel like it. And I think those all bode well in this kind of industry, especially as we're still young, we're still trying to grow and build. So you got to be a little bit gritty. So I think those are really important things as well. And I really just look at somebody's personality. Are they willing to learn? Because the information is out there. There's almost too much information out there these days. So if you're willing to put in the hard work, be an honest, ethical person, like, you're going to get results eventually. So when I'm looking at people, a lot of it is a personality and just a fit for the whole office, because we're not a big office. It's a very boutique feel here right now, and that will probably change as we continue to grow. But we're just with each other so much that if one person's throwing off the dynamic, the vibe changes in the office. And that's one thing I want to procure for all my patients, is when they come here they feel a certain type of way, and everybody has to play their part for that. So I'm always looking for the next player that's going to feel the next part. Again, doesn't have to be the same part as me. I want them to bring something unique and special that's, specifically for them. As far as training, I do a lot of the training with the injector. I'm confident in that, but we also do a lot through like the bigger brands. That always helps us a lot. And then different friends that I have, as we're onboarding a new injector right now, and that's what we're doing. So we've been bringing her on over the last few months and just slowly training her on the way that we do things. She's already in the space a little bit, but just training her up on the way that we do things. And that's how we usually approach it. But we also like to do a lot of training throughout the year, with like continuing medical education. That's super important. Try to find, if we're trying to bring on a new product, definitely do that. Anytime somebody's new, so, they get retrained, we'll all try to sit in there and listen to what they're hearing again, because you forget so many things, all the different products, all those different skincare lines, trying to keep up with all that. If I'm not using it as much, I tend to forget some of that. So I'm always leaning on my esthetician for that. But now that we have like a new girl coming in, I'm sitting in on all the trainings again, trying to take notes and trying to keep up with everything.
How do you promote? You said, like we said, about like making sure that no one's throwing off the vibe, that we continue to have a really healthy culture. What are some ways to like make sure like that that you maintain that. A change is inevitable, but like, what are some ways for you to make sure too much negative change doesn't happen?
Right. I think having standards, there's certain things that we're always going to do. We're always going to be, patient forward thinking. It's about their experience. So I think keeping that mindset, and then also open communication throughout the team, frequent check-ins. It's such a small group that we're in each other's business too much. So we check in all the time. But as that grows, that will be more important just because I'm not going to be able to have a handle on everything at all times, especially if there's different locations in different areas. So I think having standards and policies in place that you can always fall back to if things go awry is extremely important. We want that to be, again, everybody's going to have their own take on it, but it's at the end of the day, we want that experience to be reproducible every time a new patient comes in the door.
Right. Yeah. Some sort of standardization, right?
Yes, exactly.
What happens when negative change happens, Cassidy?
Well, I think one of the most important things is realizing it quick and cutting it off as soon as you see it. And that's one thing too, even with some of the marketing I think we could have been better at is like, well, maybe it's going to be good. I'll give it a little bit more, or just, multiple things. And it's like, no, at this point, if it's not working, if we feel that it's not working, if we're getting, I keep saying vibes, which it makes it so sound not official, but a lot of it is, it's like, what feeling, what intuition are you getting about this? What are the numbers saying? You always look at that as well. And if it's not working, we need to make the decision. Like the worst thing you can do is hold on to a bad decision longer. So, I mean, you're going to make missteps. I think that's just the way of life. I'm not that far deep in my business journey yet that I have it all figured out. I definitely don't. So I'm trying to get better at when I don't have it figured out, changing directions, changing course much quicker.
Yeah. How do you shift somebody's mindset maybe who may have potential, but they feel like they just expect clients to buy instead of like actually selling?
I mean, that's a tough question. How would I shift that? I'm not sure I know the answer to that right now. That's a good question. The people that I've hired thus far have kind of come with that innate ability, whether that's been learned or through previous jobs, or that some people just have it. I would probably have to seek outside help if that was the case, that I've really had a lot of passion about somebody and I thought they were great, but they are just, something's not clicking with the sales, or if some people feel really weird when you call it sales. And I don't even like it is sales, but it's like the way that I like to think of it as a physician is I'm giving this patient a treatment plan. This is what I feel is best for them. It's not me selling it to them. It's me trying to help them solve the problem they came to me with and try to get them in that mindset more so if they're, having a difficult time grasping that. I try to think of everything as medical. Like everything looks nice. It's fluffy. The patient comes in, it's a good time. But in my head, I'm always still thinking medical. So I'm just thinking, okay, how do we get to the root cause of their problem? How is within their budget? You have to always determine that within their time frame, within how much pain they want to go through. There's all these different factors you have to take into consideration. But I don't want it to come across like sales. It's really, this is your treatment plan. This is what I feel can help you the most. How do we go about getting this accomplished?
Yeah, yeah. I just I'm very vocal about sales. I'm probably more vocal about sales than I am about marketing, because there's people don't like calling it sales, but it's just that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I do understand. I do agree with you, and I like the way you put it, that it's like the best salespeople are the people who are the most authentic and who have the best intentions with helping others solve their pain points, right? And that sounds a
Completely.
lot better, because there's a stigma about sales, right? Like this, like the word has negative connotation, although it shouldn't, in my opinion, but it has negative connotation. And I think it's probably because there was a group of people, or there's certain industries that have kind of caused that stigma, right? Caused that negative experience where when people are like, no, I don't need this. And you're like, no, you did need this. It's probably
Right.
cause of that. But whether we want to admit it or not, I also think that nowadays people's trust gaps are higher, or their trust walls, I'm sorry, are higher. They have more options to go to. There's more advertising competition. So sales has been like consultative sales has become a lot more important because it's you have to influence somebody to go with your recommendation or with your plan. You have to get them to say yes. Most people aren't just willingly going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to buy this.
Exactly. And I think a part of that too is you believing what you say. So I'm able to talk to people about what I do because one, I've experienced it. I've done almost every treatment in this practice at least once just to experience it. And two, I believe in what I'm telling you. Again, that comes back to the authenticity and then also the education. So if somebody's struggling with that, are they not educated on what our treatments can do? Who's the right patient for that? Not every patient is a right, or not every treatment is right for every patient. So I think, educating that provider if they're struggling in that, and then helping them figure out what they're passionate about. Like I love talking to my patients about this stuff. I can talk to them all day. Like sometimes I'm like, I just word vomited all over you. I'm so sorry. And I'll even write down, like I handwrite a little beauty plan or a list when they leave this if it's a first time consultation. It's not that you have to do this today, not that you have to do that, you don't have to do it this week, but these are all things that we've talked about. And these are all different things. If it's this concern, if it's wrinkles, we talked about this. If it's skincare, we talked about this. If it's your daughter's wedding is in 3 months and you want to look the best you can, we talked about this. And so it's just really educating the patient too. And at the end of the day, it is their decision. I give them my medical recommendations and they have to do what's best for them.
Some of the mechanisms that you've implemented in your practice, besides obviously just marketing, like what have been some of your most successful things that you're like, man, like I wish I would have done this like in the first 3 months, that helped you get like maybe the consistency the that have has created a little bit of a more of secure growth in your practice, where in the beginning there's probably like trials and errors, and
Mm-hmm.
there's some months that were that the profit was, you were really happy about, some months that weren't. um
Exactly.
but eventually things shift a little bit where you're like, okay, like things start clicking a little bit more, and the confidence rises, and there's some mechanisms, like you said, I haven't been at play. Maybe it's some key individuals, maybe it's some key processes, maybe it's some key partners in place, maybe it's a mom's group, um whatever it is. But there are things that we all kind of implement that help us realize that more predictable growth, and just take a breather maybe.
For sure. I think community outreach, just getting your name out there, especially when you're first opening, getting your name out there at anything, go to the yoga studio, we have tons of apartments near where we live. So sometimes we will do pop ups at the different apartments. Just get your name out there, public facing, I think is extremely important when you first open. And we could have probably been better about that as well. And then you said something about key players, and that is incredibly true. We brought on my friend first, and also an amazing esthetician. She was always like who I looked up to the most as an esthetician. I think she's the best. I love her. I love her energy. I love everything she brings to the office. She came on board with us this past year, and it really, took us to a different level for sure. I mean, she brings so many things, and we're happy to have her. So I think that's important as well. When you are able to get the right person, make the stretch to get that. Always keep yourself out there. If you have somebody in mind, don't be afraid to approach them in a polite way, of course, but let your interest be known. I already had that relationship with my friend because we were friends before we were both in the industry, so it was an easier transition for us than most. But she's been a welcome blessing and gift to us this year, just in many ways.
Awesome. And what do you feel like you want to accomplish next, with now that you're hitting that seven figure run rate? Like what is next? What's the game plan? Is it cash flow? Is it sustainability? What else do you want to maybe add to your practice that you haven't really explored yet? We know that medical aesthetics wellness is kind of merging in itself. um, what else? Like, what are some of your plans?
So I think some of the long-term plans would be, one or two other regional locations, just expand a little bit. Like I said, I'm from West Virginia. I still have a lot of patient base up there. I think that's a definite market we could tap into. The market's far less saturated up there as well. So that's something to look at. I also completely agree with the wellness. Peptides are hot right now. I'm intrigued by them myself. Not something, or that is something that I would like to explore in a way that I could do it safely. I think that is great. And just continue. We have a large space here, so we still have room in this space to just grow with more providers. I wouldn't mind bringing on people that were not directly in aesthetics. If there's like a permanent makeup tattoo artist, I could even find a really good masseuse again that was appropriate for our culture. I would love to bring them on as well just to continue to grow this office. Those are some of the short-term plans in the next hopefully few years. What else did you ask in that? I think that's about it.
Um, what would be what would where would you need to be with your current business to say, "Hey, I'm ready to open a new location"? Because I feel like that's having like a different market is just you kind of have the blueprints somewhat. Every different market brings on different challenges and opportunities. Also, you know, it requires a lot of your time and attention, which may take away from your current business as well. So
That's completely what it is. We needed to get another injector that could be here, and I felt confident in running things when I'm not here. That's the number one key factor for sure, because I can't be two places at once, like you said. So I think that was the number one key player that which we have. She's starting. She's already started, so that's great. So hopefully with that, and as she continues to grow, then I'll have a little bit more flexibility on my schedule to be at other places and to actually see what is the right fit for us. I do think going into markets you have a little bit of a foothold is nice. That's why, West Virginia is maybe our next move. But anytime that you have like a little bit of a base, it's super helpful from what I've learned thus far, anyways.
um where in West Virginia?
I'm from the southern part of West Virginia, so that's up for discussion as well. Because where I work at the hospital up there is a different area, but probably somewhere in the southern part. That way, I can at least make it in a drive if I need to pop in. Because I would still be there occasionally, just checking how things are running, and you'd have somebody running it there up there, but ultimately would fall on me to make sure things were going well. So I'd have to split my time to a degree.
Where's that, like Princeton area?
Princeton, Beckley, Charleston, maybe.
Is West Virginia the new frontier, or what's going on over there?
I mean, I don't know about that. Um, but I mean, you work in a hospital, so you have a ton of connections like that. And all the nurses, when I'm there, I still do hospital work PRN. So I'm still talking to my nurses about that. And they're always, some of them even come down to see me. It's about a 2 hour drive from here, so it's not that far. So I definitely think there is opportunity there. I definitely do for the right situation. But I need to have more time to explore it. And I just can't do it all at the same time.
Yeah. Um, and then how would you? What kind of business model would you have out there? Very similar one, or what did you do? Would you do things a little bit differently?
Probably a little bit smaller. I mean, our office here, like I said, is pretty large. So we'd probably do a little bit of a smaller operation, but it would have the same exact mindset, the same exact practices and procedures. So the vibe, the emotion behind it would be the same. It would just be maybe to a smaller scale.
Let's talk about some of some of the trends like you're seeing in the industry. Like how are you gonna how do you feel like you want to position your business so that way it is kind of, I don't want to say competition proof, but more so like, because I also in my opinion competition is it can be a double-edged sword from a standpoint of like mindset where you're always looking at what other people are doing instead of focusing on what you're doing, which I think is more important. But the competition in itself is not, it present itself in different ways for this type of business in my opinion, because we're not competing against just other med spas, we're competing against different types of businesses as well. um,
Mm-hmm.
so what do you want to implement in your practice that's going to help you like retain patients long term continue to solve more of their pain points, deepen relationships, make sure that your Skyn Elegant Aesthetics is the go-to like ritual for them as well, where they can come back and feel safe. This may be a little disconnected, and where they can, enjoy themselves as well.
I think the key to being long lasting in aesthetics at this point is focusing on things that are regenerative. You can't fix everything with toxin filler. They're both great. I love both of them dearly. But if you're using those as your one trick ponies, you are going to have patients that don't look like versions of themselves very quickly. And I think that that's a big important part that kind of sets us apart at times, because I'm constantly educating my patients. You might come in wanting a quick fix, but a long-term solution, while it's not as sexy, would probably be better for you. So I try to push them down that road. And I think that that does set you apart from just, okay, you want lip filler. Well, what do you actually want to look like with your lip filler? What are you actually trying to achieve? Or, they come in saying like, I look old. What does that actually mean? And there's ways that we can help you with that. So I think that that sets you apart. I think respecting natural anatomy. I feel like when we started aesthetics, and this was even before me, we kind of got overzealous with it, and people, it kind of got a bad rap. And that's another thing that we try to break down that stigma of. One is that like intimidating. I don't feel like our office is intimidating at all. We try to be very friendly and open to everybody that's interested. And then it's just, you're going to look fake. You're going to not look like yourself. You're going to be frozen. And just trying to educate people that when done right, aesthetics is only adding to your natural beauty. It's not trying to change you. It's just trying to enhance you. So I think anything that can help with that is going to be the future of this. So a lot of biostimulation, regeneration, if it is peptides, I think that implementing those things in a way when people are younger, to where you're not just overfilling, where you're not just over toxing somebody, is super important. Gives you better results. Your patients are more happy. And I think that turns into longevity for the business.
Yeah. That's definitely a good idea. There's this fine line between saying like, hey, I want to help you solve your pain points, but then you're going to leave.
But stay here with me. Come hang out. Yeah. Well, you got to give them a little bit. Okay. You can usually balance it out. Like you got to give people a little bit. You got to dangle the carrot. To get them to buy into it. And then once they trust you, they're more apt to go down like the regenerative route. But like, yeah, at the beginning, you're saying you got to do all this stuff. You'll see results in 3 to 6 months. Give me a year. I do like to say that. I'm like, give me a year. If you come in with a specific complaint, give me a year to try to fix it. I'm always say this is not a one night stand. This is a relationship. And I think that finding a doctor or provider is like that. You got to date around, find somebody that you can be honest with and that matches your vibe. Not everybody's going to match your vibe, and that's okay. But find one that you like, stick with them. You're probably going to get better results than if you do bounce around. So yeah, you definitely gotta keep them, stay with us. And I mean, there's an art to it, just like everything else. There's a give and take between practitioner and patient.
How did becoming a medical director for other medical aesthetics spas helped you like grow?
Oh, it definitely has. Because you get to see the insight to how other businesses work. You get ideas from them. The way that I go about being a medical director, it's very collaborative. So I like it because I have 4 or 5 other providers that I can call immediately if I have an issue, if I, see something I'm not comfortable with, to get their insight. So I try to build, for me, at least a little community of a safe space where I can call them, they can call me, friendly with all of them. And I love that. What was the original question? Sorry, I just forgot what we were talking about.
How did it help you grow as well?
Oh, it helped me. Okay, just seeing the way they run and they operate their spa, seeing their different techniques, seeing, even if it comes down to like, hey, I ran this special, it was great, or I love this product. Have you tried this new product? Or, this is coming out. It's very, very open with me, and it really has helped me. And the contacts that I've made have been invaluable. The medical director thing all started when I left my other spa, and people approached me about it, and it kind of fell into place like that, and it has been a blessing, absolutely, because I have those contacts and relationships now that I probably would not have had otherwise, and they are very valuable.
What would your advice be for people like you who are maybe younger doctors who are looking to start their own practice, um, and doing in a way that doesn't disrupt like our industry.
What do you mean by that?
That's like another show.
Okay, we can save that for round two. Okay, that sounds good. I would say don't be afraid to go for it, but plan for it, and don't also be afraid. Know that you're going to have to work for it when you do, because it's not going to be given to you. You need to be truly passionate about it. I feel so many people are going into it just because they think that it's easy or quick money, and neither one are true. And if you're doing it easy, then maybe you're doing something a little wrong. But I do think if it's truly your passion, then chase that. Go do it. Go do whatever you need to do to get your foot in the door. Volunteer somewhere if you have to. You're not above anything starting, and just be prepared to work. Work, work, work.
Let's get in a couple of fun, non-related questions
Okay, let's do it.
as we wrap this thing up. What is your favorite? What is your favorite like junk food?
Popcorn. Popcorn, blue slushy, the movies, top tier.
Top tier.
Top tier.
Uh, yeah, I wanted something a little bit worse, but that's good. That's good.
What did you want? What did
What
you
is
want?
what is your favorite what is your favorite way to disconnect from work and from being, well, because you're still work at a hospital, and then you own your own practice, and then you're a medical director for all these practices. So
Yes,
in all the
yes.
free time that you have every day, what is your favorite way to disconnect and to reset?
Spending time with my daughter. I tell people this. I mean, it's been hard. I got pregnant with her right when I left my other job. So I was having pretty much raising two infants, one being the business, one being her. So, but I've not had a bad day since I've had her. I come home and it's just, she brings so much joy to my life. So that's number one. I love hanging out with her all the time. And then working out also keeps me sane. If I've had too much stress or a rough day, working out is very helpful to help me disconnect. And then a nice beach vacation doesn't hurt either when I have the time to do that. If you find me on a beach, you'll find me happy. So my patients know that. They know that. Like if Dr. Cassie's not here, has she gone to the beach? Probably yes.
And where can people find you if they want to connect with you, network with you, mastermind with you, or maybe they need a medical director? Can you only do? Are you only available to do that in North Carolina, or how's that work?
So you have to be licensed in the state. So right now I'm currently licensed in both West Virginia and North Carolina. So I could do it either one of those places. I've thought about doing South Carolina as well, but there's just not been a need for it right now. But North Carolina and West Virginia, and you can find me on my Instagram. It's just Dr. Cassidy Smith, or our website, which is just www.skynelegantesthetics.com. I'd love to hear from you. Always checking our Instagram, so that's usually the easiest way. Send over a DM and we can connect.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you sharing all the insights and your story.
Thank you for having me.